Good morning, traders. Today is January 23rd, 2026. Just wanted to circle back on here what I'm working on and kind of current state of my trading. So I actually have a past eval through Apex Trading, and I'm going to go ahead and trade that here on these sessions. We'll follow it live, work on getting a payout. So that's my main focus today. Trading session is about 15 minutes into the New York Open, which is perfect. So let's switch our chart. So here we are back on our 3-minute chart on MES. As you can see, we did have a diamond signal for my indicator here, but that was at 9:39. Again, I wouldn't take that trade. That's not normally a trade that I would be looking at because it just doesn't have enough structure to truly give an A+ setup like that. And you can see that kind of mirrors exactly what happened here in the market. What I do like about that diamond indicator, my A+ signal, is it throws this dotted line in here to let me know what the breaking point would be for it to really have the momentum to continue to move up to this resistance zone. As you can see, it crossed over it, but it did not close above it. And that's the key that the indicator is looking for, to say, okay, if it doesn't close above this, you shouldn't be taking it. Otherwise, it's an A+ trade. But again, a little too early to have that structure. So I'm going to zoom out here, back to the basics, right? We zoom out, look at our higher time frame. We're gonna treat this PA account from Apex like we mean it. I'm going to get very serious about it. It I don't want to say it should change. It really shouldn't, but human nature, right? If we're in a challenge, we don't really take that as seriously as, hey, we passed the challenge and now we can actually get a payout from this account. It changes the mindset a little bit. And maybe we should be taking those challenges as seriously as the payout account, but we tend to not do that. At least I don't. I know a lot of other traders don't as well. So diving in here, I'm just going to let you know some of their rules, and I'm not going to dive deep into all those rules. You guys can go read them for yourselves. But one of the biggest changes that they have had on their PA accounts is until you reach profit of $2,600, you cannot take a single trade loss of larger than $187. Essentially, what they're doing here is restricting your lot size. So there's a lot of prop firms, and even Apex has had this in the past, where the rule is more around how much you can win in a single trade, and it can't be more than top one futures, for example. I think it's 30%. It's somewhere in that range, where they're saying you can't have a single win be more than 30% of your total winnings. What I'm getting at here is, as you can see, if I'm looking at a stop limit, 6 lots is 187.50. Now, I actually have set my risk parameters on this account to be less than that. It should stop me out at 180. But that makes it tough, right? That makes it really tough to gain much momentum in a brand new account, a 50K live account that I'm trying to get payouts from, and I can only risk $187. How much can I actually make from that? It's gonna be a tough sell. So what I have right now is 25 and 60 as my take profit and stop loss. I'll probably leave it in there for now, but you can see that's $450 take profit at 60 ticks. That's too high for the current market range, and so we're going to be sitting on our hands a lot today. I will try to keep the video as short as possible so that you guys don't have to sit around bored with me, but I fully plan on being bored for an hour, is what I would say. I'm going to wait until my perfect setup shows up, and if it doesn't show up, well, I'm not taking a trade today. Simple as that. So zooming back in here on the 3-minute time frame, I didn't really cover kind of where we're at on the 15-minute. Actually, we've got some time here. So you can see the structure. We've had some rejection off of this level here, this point of control that we're at, that was coming up. It rejected off of that. We've had some bounces off of this level as well. Thursday looks like it bounced off of this level, went up to this resistance zone. We had some bearish divergence, push it back off. And now we're still in this area where it's a really tight range right now. We've got support down here at the 69.26. We've got resistance up here at the 69.42. And we just need to sit on our hands and see what happens with this structure. That's a decent structure. It's enough that I would normally take a challenge trade, but probably not enough movement in this tiny range to take a really good trade for a PA account. So again, just calling out, I'm gonna be waiting. Let's zoom back into our 3-minute. As you guys know from my previous videos, I do tend to trade on the 1-minute time frame often. I look for entries at least on my 1-minute time frame. Now there's a little bit of a reason I'm going to be focusing more on the 3-minute time frame, and I called it out already, right? Can you expect 60 ticks off of a 1-minute time frame signal? Probably not. You're going to need to hold that a little bit longer, and that's a little bit less of my traditional trading. I do quick scalping. Sometimes I'm in for 30 seconds. Usually it's more like 2 to 3 minutes, but I need to hold this trade a little bit longer. I need to get into that mindset of holding it a little bit longer, and that's where I'm at. So while I may flip back and forth between the 1 and 3-minute, 1 minute for entry, 3-minute for full range of trade is what I'm going to be looking at. Apologies, for some reason I must have lost my previous recording that I've been going on and on about, but that's okay. I wanted to keep this video shorter anyway. Let me just recap where we're at. We have some decent structure here, right? It bounced off of this level here at the 69.27. It's continuing to trend up. Looks like it wants to continue to go up. I'm still waiting for a good sell signal here on the short side, or for some rejection, come down here and look for a long. I don't typically trade the bounce off of the VWAP, even though it does look like it's going to respect that VWAP and continue to bounce off of it. A lot of traders do. I know Brian Shannon, the godfather of VWAP, that's exactly what he does. Austin Silver, if you guys follow him, ASFX TV, shout out to him. He's been a mentor to me just through those videos. The live trading that he does is just fantastic. What I wanted to do, though, is zoom out and show you kind of the follow through we had as of yesterday, right? New York Open starts up here at the 69.59 level, clear down to the 69.27, clear back up to the 69.68, rejected by the end of the day, retraced back to 69.33. So we don't have anywhere near that movement today, and Fridays are lower volume days. That's okay. Doesn't mean we can't find a trade, but means we have to realize that and be more patient. So we're sitting on our hands. So we're getting to a little bit of an interesting level here. We've got at least what my indicator would call a little bit of resistance on the 1-minute time frame. Not anything higher than the 1 minute though. And to me, that just means this might be a 1, 2, 3 bounce off of the 9 EMA. It may cross over the 9 EMA just slightly, but it wants to trend. So I don't have enough data to say this is my 9 EMA break and I'm going to take this trade. That would be B minus, maybe a C setup. And that's just not my trade. I'm looking for A setups only on this account. So I'm going to hold. As you can see, trading gets boring when you're doing this. It's not an emotional decision. You don't let emotions come into play. It's not that you don't feel the emotions, to be clear. And I want to start a new series that I'll probably work on soon around this, just around psychology. I talk about it throughout my videos, and I think that's great. But I really want to put some focus on it because I think it is the differentiating factor for the 90, 95%, whatever stat you want to throw out there, of traders that fail. It's not because they don't have a good strategy. Almost any strategy can be profitable if the space between your ears can actually manage it, right? It's about risk management. It's about understanding what's going on in your own mind and how those emotions come into play when you're in a trade or when you're looking at a chart but not in a trade and you get that impatience, right? That market is a mirror, and that will be that'll be a series that I'll work on here soon. So look for that. But I'll continue to show these live trades as I'm taking them because I think it's important that you guys see how I do what I do, and how I use the quad rotation. You can see I've zoomed out here onto the 15-minute time frame because now we are actually hitting a more interesting level. We've got divergence, bearish divergence up here. It's rejected off of here multiple times. We've got at least 3 different time frame points of resistance at this level, and you could call it the start of a fair value gap, right? If you're into the ICT terminology, but we need to wait. We're just getting really close. That's a big move up over the 15-minute time frame. It's done nothing but trend up. And I would expect a retracement now. You can see how far away as well the point of control and the VWAP are on this 15-minute time frame. So that's when I look for the 3-minute time frame where I zoom back in. And then you can see the 9 EMA, how close we are to that versus how far the distance is between the 9 EMA and the VWAP here. So still waiting, but getting more interesting. And this is what? We're now almost 11 o'clock New York time. So we're an hour and a half into the trading session. I've done nothing but sit on my hands. I'm reading the market, but I'm not playing in the market. Interestingly, I also have a bearish divergence signal here on the 1 minute. So it looks like it wants to set up, and we're going to keep waiting. All right, so we've officially hit this resistance level here on the 15-minute time frame. You can see the bearish divergence here that happened overnight, and we're back up there again. I like this range. I'm going to look for some consolidation here on the 3-minute time frame, on the lower time frames, and we'll look for a little bit of the just the consolidation up here in the break of the 9 EMA, but I'll probably look for at least consolidation or a double top is what I was going to say. So we now have a sell signal here on our 1-minute time frame right after that bearish divergence. I still don't love it. I don't love the lack of volume, especially in this area here, right? You can see my volume panel here just kind of went dry. So this is why I still wait for consolidation at this top. I need to know that there's some momentum to carry this through and not just, okay, I've got a sell signal and I'm just going to take it blindly. It's not quite that easy. The indicator definitely helps make it easier. It draws my attention to look at it, but it's not just a signals channel that you say, well, I have a sell signal, I'll just take it. That's not what most indicators should do, and definitely not what you should be doing with them. So it did close below the 9 EMA. It looks like it wants to hold here. This could get interesting, but I'm likely to wait. Again, I need more consolidation at the top here. I need something that tells me it's not just going to cross over like this and then continue to move higher over the next 10, 20 minutes, as you can see it's done here. I don't have that data yet, so still waiting, still holding. I'll check back in when I get a little bit more consolidation. I'm not taking this trade as is, and I'll start back up the recording and let you know if I do. Actually, before I stop the recording, looks like it wants to hold. Where are we at on the 3-minute? So we've got good rollover here on the 2 fast stocks of the 3-minute. We're still above the range on the 2 slow stocks. But yeah, it does look like it wants to hold. What I'm still not loving is the volume here is almost non-existent. I think I'm just got to wait. This is not my setup. You can see on the 1-minute time frame, we're already through the fast stocks here and barely starting into the 3rd slow stock. The last stock is nowhere close to even that range. So what I would want to see here is an uptick, a rollover the other direction on these 2 fast stocks. I want the 1-minute fast stocks to come back up to the top of their range, push price back up, and then look for a complete quad rotation all the way through because that 5-minute will now have come down. But in order for that 5-minute to come down, it needs that consolidation. It's gotta consolidate and either form a double top or some just heavy consolidation. And you can see now that it's starting to push up a little bit higher. This is a normal pattern. This is the pattern I look for every single day in the market. It's not a complicated setup in my mind. It's not a complicated structure that I'm looking for. I just look for that consolidation, either in the form of a double top or just a lot of candlesticks consolidating in this range to show me that this is a point of contention in the market, and we're likely to have some rejection based on fair value gaps, based on other factors, right, that say most of the time, and that's not all of the time, that's why you need to be comfortable with taking losing trades. Some of them just aren't going to work out, but most of the time, from the New York Open, you have at least a 50% retracement or bigger. And again, I call out Edgeful here as a tool that gives a lot of those stats. Those are very beneficial stats. If you know, hey, 67% of the time, 6-7, had to throw that in there. This does come back down to at least close to the New York Open or something to that effect, right? And they have all of those stats in there. Right now, we're just waiting. So we're getting a little bit of consolidation here. We're at the 69.60 level, right? I've had a sell signal on the 1 minute. It actually has contested the 9 EMA, but it's held it pretty good. I would say it's respecting the 9 EMA right now. And we've got a little bit of a rollover, looks like, on the 9 EMA. It looks like it wants to hook back down. Fast stocks here on the 1 minute are in the middle of the range. And so I don't have a trade that way. But you do see the 5 minutes starting to get closer into the range here. So we're still waiting, but getting close. I'd like to see a couple more minutes of consolidation here, and then I'm going to look for an entry. I'd love to see some divergence on the 3 minute time frame here. That's what I'd love to see. As it stands right now, if I'm looking at the 1 minute time frame, then what I would look for is a break here of the 69.56 level. So I'm just going to add a line there for me to reference on the 3 minute chart, which has been consolidating heavily. And it is going to break the 9 EMA, it looks like. So good resistance up here, right? If we zoom out a little bit on that 15-minute time frame, you saw the resistance here. On the 15-minute time frame, you don't expect consolidation, right? It kind of bumps. Within 15 minutes, it's really rejecting. And there's evidence of that all over. We get this climb here, and it immediately rejects. Yes, it bounces back up and taps that resistance zone again, but then it falls clear back down. So back to the 3 minute here. It's looking good for entry, but I don't love, it's not quite a true quad rotation here. We're in the middle of the range. Not my ideal setup. I would consider it maybe a B setup currently. I don't have divergence on the 3 minute. I really don't have that double top. And it's not that true quad rotation that I'd like to see even on the 1 minute. I want to get this wrapped back up here into overbought conditions, then all four wanting to roll over. But that 5 minutes getting dangerously close to the range. Third slow stock is in the range, and that's okay. I'd take that trade just because it's in the range. I want to see what it does through this level here. But you can kind of see it's just dried up volume. There's just not a lot going on quite yet to indicate that it's got the momentum to go where we want it to. By the way, as I'm looking at this, I feel emotions. I want to call that out. Like I do feel excitement. I'm ready to take my first trade on the PA account. All I'm doing is as I feel those things is I'm just recognizing that feeling and then I move on. And I almost separate my brain from it to say, yeah, there's some excitement. It's a good opportunity. But it's not the best opportunity. And I try to bring myself back down to a neutral state. You don't want to enter on excitement. That's a bad emotion to enter on. It's just going to be dangerous. And it creates impatience, right? Excitement is impatience, really. That's the emotion you're feeling the most when you're excited. Like, I want this to happen. I want this to happen now. That's a dangerous mindset to enter a trade that is not even an A setup. So I want to make sure that I'm staying methodical, staying true to my system, and not trading emotionally with a B setup. B setup may be all I get today. I've sat in front of the chart for 2 hours, almost 2 hours, and I'd love to take a setup, but if it's not the right setup, I'm not going to take it. And I don't quite see it yet. I see it getting close, and you can see that break. If you're curious how I came up with that level, it's right where it bounced, right? I need to know that it's not just going to bounce off this level again. This is just a 1 minute transparent support level here for my indicator, but it's good enough for me to know structurally I need a break of that line level of that 69.55, 69.66, or 69.56, excuse me, before I would consider it, okay, this is ready to move to the short side. And don't have it yet. So we wait patiently. We're getting the consolidation I was looking for. That's the good news. Point of control, you can see here, my VRVP indicator has it at 69.59. That seems appropriate. We are in heavy consolidation. There is a point of contention of control. Of are the bears in control or are the bulls in control at this level? We're getting good hooks back up on my two fast stocks here on the 1 minute time frame. Perfect. I'd like to see them get up close to that 80 level. Don't have to, but I'd like to see that. That's a better true quad rotation. So we're sitting patiently. While we're waiting here, I'm going to zoom back out and look at I think it's just important to be aware of time frames and when things tend to happen. So we're around the 11:27, almost noon. Yesterday we had some bearish divergence around this same time frame. It really wasn't until 1 o'clock that we had a good break of structure here, right? That was 113 is when it finally broke this structure. Yeah, pulled back a little bit, but nothing crazy, and then just kept running down. Yeah, it's going to cross over this line for me. Where does that sit on the 3 minute? Break of the 9 EMA. I'll go ahead and enter here. I'm going to, being a B setup and where it is, I'm going to reduce my lot size a little bit. And I may use this to my advantage to just have, I could enter with another 4 lots if I get maybe a push through here, a little bit of rejection. If it holds this 9 EMA and holds this candle, I'll go ahead and throw a couple extra lots on it. Again, B setup at best because I'm already in oversold conditions here on my fast stock, but these slow stocks come around and it's going to push momentum to the low side for sure. I'm going to scale out just a little bit. I don't love this pullback that it's doing, but I'm going to wait for candle close. Yeah, we're now pulling back $50 against me. 60. Yeah, I'm going to scale out just a little bit. Of course, as soon as I do, it's going to continue to push lower, isn't it? This is just my impatience coming up. It's okay. I can scale back in, and now I'm going to scale in a little bit heavier if it's going to hold this structure. It does look like it wants to. That's good. So I'll throw on another few lots there, and I'm going to move my stop. If I were going to scale in any more, it would be maybe 2 lots at most. But I need some momentum on my side before I would do that, and I honestly probably won't. Good push. Good push there. Again, I try not to focus on the money. I know that's why we're all in trading, right? We got here because we wanted to make money. I get that, but the focus on the money is what distracts you and gets you more emotional. You're tying it to something. So don't look at the $95. Don't look at my small lot size. I'm trying not to think that way. I'm trying to think in terms of what does the market structure say it's going to do? What is it? What does it actually support? Can it push through the VWAP here, or do I need to bring my buy limit up to that VWAP or just straight up close the trade if it's tapping the VWAP. We're up 110. It's moving very methodically, very good. I've got a bearish exit signal on the 1 minute time frame. Going to tighten up my stop here a little bit. By the way, I don't know what happened, but TradingView had an update, and I absolutely hate this. Now that I scaled in a couple extra lots, I should be able to change my stop to 6 lots. And once I hit confirm, it just says I can't modify the order. I used to be able to do this. So TradingView, fix it. Getting some consolidation in here. Let's see what it looks like on the 1 minute. Yeah, we had some heavy consolidation in here, right? What I'm wondering is on the 1 minute time frame, looks like I could probably scale in a little bit as long as it continues to respect that 9 EMA. And this is the tough part. It's going to pull against me here. As long as it respects that 9 EMA, I'd look for a pushback lower, then scale in. That's what that looks like for me. And so I use both time frames. I'm holding on the 3 minute. We're good on the 3 minute rotation, right? We've got the 3 minute rotation. Yes, this is in oversold. I don't really care. Same with this one. Because I know the slow stocks are going to drive momentum, that confluence, right, that we talk about, they're going to drive that momentum a lot harder and a lot longer than these two fast stocks. So these fast stocks may come up into this range while it continues to push lower. Yeah, if we get some respect here on that 9 EMA, I'll go ahead and scale in a little bit more, not 6 lots. I'm only scaling in 2 extra lots. And I guess I have to add my stop in there because it just doesn't do it otherwise. What I don't want to do is scale in while it's pulling against me. I could just tap out here at a break-even point. Ooh, getting a little uncomfortable there, aren't we? Hold that 9 EMA. I tightened up my stop a little, but honestly, if it breaks much higher, I'm really not interested in staying in. Now I want to see that respect of the 9 EMA and cross back over, and then I could scale. It's not wanting to do that yet. I could scale in maybe even 3 or 4 if it's going to respect that 9 EMA. But that's how I would play it, so that you're keeping within their rules. You don't want to lose more than $180 on a single trade. That's fine. You set up your stop loss to match that. But as it plays in your favor, you can scale in a little bit, risk a little bit more because you should be in the green that much more. A little bit of consolidation here. We got a 1, 2, 3. I need that respect of the 9 EMA though. I really do, and I'm not seeing it quite yet. It's close. Yeah, it's wanting to push. Yep, I'm out. So it looks like about $150 loss there. And I can tell you what I think it's going to do. I think I was on the right side of it. I probably should have closed here and just taken my 100 and what was it, $165. I think it's going to push back up here. This was the double top that I was really waiting for and got impatient. So now it's going to push back up into this resistance zone. But I don't have a lot of room to play with. I've only got $30 of stop loss that I could possibly do. So if it pulls against me at all, I can't handle it. I'd be breaking the rules. So again, I have my risk management set up on Trade already, but that was a tough break and probably just shows a little bit of lack of patience. It looked like a good trade, but I didn't have my divergence. It was a B setup. I scaled out. Let's see what it does here. And let's see what it would look like if I were to take a 25 tick stop. That's $62 on 2 lots. I definitely don't need it that high. I could bring it down into this level, see how it plays, and potentially scale in a couple more lots as it falls. Here we are on the 3 minute watching these four stochastics. So this is the quad rotation that happens often. It's kind of a failed quad rotation because by the time it breaks that 9 EMA, I'm really at the bottom of the fast stocks. And that's not an ideal entry. That's not a quad rotation. I think it's going to hold that point of control, respect that, not the 9 EMA, and then it's going to push lower. Over here on the 1 minute, if we're looking for another entry, I don't need to force another trade either. So I'm trying to recognize that emotion coming into play. I was up. I got this is the kicker for me if you notice. My entry here, scale in here. I had the 1 minute time frame on my indicator tell me, "Hey, you should exit." What happened immediately after? Well, it bounced, and I ignored that exit. Should have just taken it. And you can see why it would have thrown that exit signal if you're looking at the stochastics here. I mean, oversold, 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 and what is that? Is it turned around? Probably it's below the 50 level on the 5 minute stochastics. So yeah, that one stings a little bit when my indicator told me what to do. But now we're setting back up here on the fast stocks of the 1 minute, like it wants to roll over again, and I think it will. And I think it'll be the bigger break of structure, by the way. I think it'll push below the VWAP now because it's had this consolidation. This is more of the typical move. It comes down, it bounces, then it runs. And I just took the trade a little too early. Got volume drying up. I mean, drying up. If you look here, I've got this zoomed in to 250. God, it's barely moving 18 points. But crucially, my momentum is actually still on the short side. So as long as it stays below that 50 line here, this middle line, which is really the 0 line, right? Then that means to me that it wants to stay short. It wants to push, and bears are more in control. Just such tough conditions. I could push here and wait for this candle to close. I may take an entry. See how it didn't close below the 9 EMA there? It wants to. It wants to push low. I just don't have the daily loss limit to play much in it. And I like to just stick to one trade. My one trade was a loser, sadly. I'm going to give it a couple more bars here, just because we are coming close to that quad rotation again, at least on the top three stochastics. There's our push lower. I'm going to go ahead and enter with my two lots. And I'm going to hope for a little bit bigger push here down to this level. What are we looking like on the 3 minute? Remember, I've only got $30 before it's going to just take me out anyway, so it can't pull against me very much. I'd love to see it push a little lower and scale in another couple lots here. Mm, mm, not looking great. If it doesn't want to hold that 9 EMA, it's going to tap me. There we go, $30 we stopped out. So it's okay. I had a second chance for entry. Could have waited a little bit more. That break of the 9 EMA on the 1 minute tempted me. And I think it's still going to move that way. I'm just too early. So we're going to take a loss for today. And we'll keep pushing. See you guys in the next one.